Welcome back. Now to our explainer tonight, we're focusing on the crisis that is at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Yesterday, all of the workers agreed to go back to work to respect a court order that suspended their strike. However, the salary row remains unresolved, and today we just want to take you through the history of that and how it came to be. It is a battle that has been ongoing from 2012, so that would put it at about 8 years. And there are three organizations at the center of it: the Kenyatta National Hospital, the State Corporations Advisory Committee, and the SRC. All of this deciding the fate of 5,000 workers at the Kenyatta National Hospital, who are all unionized by three unions: KUDEHA, the Kenya National Union of Nurses, and KMPDU, that represents the doctors. So, like we said, it started way back in 2012, and this is what got this ball rolling. Now, in 2012, the State Corporations Advisory Committee upgraded the Kenyatta National Hospital, which, as you know, is a government national entity, from parastatal level 3C to level 7A. Now, the minute they did that, there was some consequences, and this is what is at the heart of the dispute that is there. Okay, so it meant for some a salary increase. Okay, and this is the point at which in August, and remember at this time, I believe it was Anyang' Nyong'o who was the minister at this ministry, and there was a letter that was written to that effect, and it was written to the CEO of the Kenyatta National Hospital at the time, who was Mr. Richard Lesiampe, and it informed him of that upgrade and informed him of a change to his salary as the CEO, but also ended here. It said, please note that the salary band should be used by the board in the determination of salaries for the rest of the staff. Now, this was a letter that was also informing him of an upgrade of his own salary. All right. Now, it is around this point now we move to the next point, which is this. I wanted to take note of this because this is what is a bone of contention that comes up a little later. By 2017, SRC is conducting its job evaluation for this period from 2017 to the year 2020. And this is something that they came back to now. At this point now, KNH starts to put in place the measures to ensure that they are upgrading the salary of all the staff in line with that recategorization of the hospital. And they go through the usual budgetary process. The Kenyatta National Hospital puts its budget proposals together, sends that to the Ministry of Health, which sends that to Treasury. It's presented in Parliament. Parliament approves a figure which was a total of 2.4 billion shillings that would be the salary increment. Okay, but then at around this time, 2019, KUDEHA, that is the Union for Domestic, Hotel, Educational Institutes, Hotel and Allied Workers, then went on strike. They signed a return to work formula that said that not just their union members, but all of the workers at the Kenyatta National Hospital would then get the salaries in line with that recategorization that was done by the State Corporation Advisory Committee. All right, by this time, the budget, like we told you, had already been set out, and 601 million shillings was set aside for that increment. Remember that 2.4 billion was the total, but it was going to be released in tranches. So all was set for this 601 million to be given to the workers. So what happens? This money was supposed to be available, like you can see, for the budget year 2020-2021. So it was supposed to take effect July the 1st this year. So what happens? Kenyatta National Hospital then writes to SRC to say, we have this 601 million that's already disbursed, would like the approval to make the payments. SRC then writes back and says, not so fast. They said, and I quote from their letter, recategorization by the State Corporation Advisory Committee is not for the purposes of salary review, and therefore no review should be undertaken without the advice of the SRC, which they say is the body that is mandated to decide the salaries for state officers and advise for those of public officers in line with Article 230, Section 5. They said the SRC uses job evaluation to determine the relative worth of jobs, and that they had already done that, like we said, way back in 2017. They, in fact, disregarded that return to work formula that was signed by KUDEHA and the Kenyatta National Hospital in 2019. They said it is not a basis for demanding a review of remuneration, as it is not fiscally sustainable at the time. They said then, if they want higher salaries, they will have to wait for the next review cycle, which happens in the year 2021 for the next couple of years. All right? So they said, wait for the next reevaluation exercise. However, there was a series of meetings that took place because by this time, as you know, there was a dispute that had arisen over this. And then they decided to revise that revaluation from 2021 and said, well, we could actually do it in the next 3 weeks. Now, this was after a meeting between SRC, the Kenyatta National Hospital, and the State Corporation Advisory Committee. They said a job reevaluation exercise could be done within 3 weeks. And that is what is written here. However, the union said they didn't want to peg it on this reevaluation, feeling that the SRC was perhaps usurping the authority or the role that is played by unions in terms of negotiating for, the salaries of their members who work there. Perhaps fearing that this would be a process that would take some time, that 600 million might go back to Treasury. For that money to come back would be a bit of a challenge. They then called for the strike, and that is what you saw happening earlier this week. They have since called it off as the Labour Court has suspended it, but this matter remains unresolved, and this is where we're at now. 2.4 billion shillings at stake, the SRC disregarding the fact that the recategorization can be used to review salaries, and now this is a matter that awaits the decision by the court of law. Much happening there, but as you can see, it's been a long battle for this. How it will end is what we all wait to see, but hoping it resolves amicably, because there are thousands of people who depend on the Kenyatta National Hospital because it is the biggest referral hospital in the country. That's our explainer tonight, even as we await to see what the court decides.